Nelson Mandela's favored heir is elected to lead South Africa's ruling party. A closer look at food allergies, food intolerance, and staying healthy. And celebrating the holidays, minus the alcohol. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Esther Gidu. You at Info Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Tonight we begin in Uganda, where scuffles erupted in Parliament Tuesday during a debate over the extension of presidential rule. The uproar came after a lawmaker alleged soldiers had entered the building. Amid the chaos, the Speaker adjourned proceedings to investigate the alleged presence of soldiers. The bill under debate seeks to change Uganda's constitution to allow President Yoweri Museveni to rule beyond the age of 75. Mr. Museveni is 73 and has ruled the country for 31 years. Under the current age cap, the constitution would bar him from running again as president in 2021. On Monday, the parliamentary debate proceeded amid heavy deployments of police and military personnel. After jeering and heckling erupted, 6 legislators were suspended and ejected from the chamber. It is not the first time the contentious bill provoked rowdy scenes in Parliament. In September, lawmakers fought in Parliament for 2 consecutive days as Parliament members opposed to the bill attempted to filibuster but were defeated. In South Africa, there's been a mixed reaction to the election of Cyril Ramaphosa as the leader of the ruling African National Congress. This means Ramaphosa, who is a business tycoon and an anti-apartheid hero, will be the party's candidate for president during the 2019 elections.
Investors will come back to this country, and I can assure you, South Africa will be very different just because we've got Cyril Ramaphosa as president. I mean, he's a taskmaster. Cyril Ramaphosa is a person that ran business on his own. He understands where he's coming from. He understands the markets.
I feel so disappointed because I was ready for a first woman to be a president. So I feel so emotional. I feel like crying even now. But we are all in the ANC. What can we say? Cyril Ramaphosa is ANC. We are ANC, so we must support him.
Ramaphosa defeated former cabinet minister and President Jacob Zuma's ex-wife Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma at the ANC's National Elective Conference in Johannesburg.
What his biggest challenge will be is to, of course, essentially undo what you might call really the public perception and the public deficit issues that have developed at least over the past 5 years. That's his immediate challenge. He's got 18 months until the general election, and this general election comes on the back of, a lot of issues that are happening at government level that he's going to have to somehow try to tackle while he's also running the ANC.
Ramaphosa succeeds President Jacob Zuma, who is stepping down as ruling party leader amid numerous corruption scandals. Zuma is due to remain president until 2019. The ANC has won a majority in every national poll since the end of white minority rule in 1994, but has seen its support wane in recent years. Zimbabwe's military has announced the end of its military intervention that culminated in the resignation of former President Robert Mugabe last month. During a press conference, Philip Valerio Sibanda, commander of the National Army, said police had resumed their normal duties following the end of Operation Restore Legacy. The army launched the operation on November 13th with the aim of removing what it called the criminals that was surrounding former President Robert Mugabe. During his speech, Sibanda chronicled all the events that culminated in Mugabe's resignation and the new president Emmerson Mnangagwa's appointment of a new cabinet. Sibanda says some of the criminals around the former president had been accounted for, while others had fled the country. He urged the public to allow for a smooth transition. Moving to Ethiopia, where a high-level forum has kicked off to discuss key issues facing South Sudan, including power sharing and security arrangements. Rival factions entered another round of talks to end the country's 4-year civil war. The talks are being facilitated by the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, or IGAD, which hopes to bring the opposing sides together. Their meeting in Ethiopia comes a day after clashes erupted between government forces and fighters loyal to the opposition. Ethiopian Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn and the chair of the African Union, Musa Faki Mahamat, had choice words for both sides of the conflict.
This forum is a South Sudanese process, a process through which you will put South Sudan, your country, above any and all other interests, whether those of individuals, the group, or the tribe. This is a responsibility which lies firmly on the shoulders of each and every one of you today.
The people will never understand and will never forgive you for having allowed such an opportunity to be missed and also afforded by this forum organized by IGAD. The region has shown remarkable care for you, and other partners also of the international community can only be skeptical that you have the will to put an end to this tragic chapter.
Now, the IGAD summit is attempting to persuade warring sides on the gravity of the situation and the necessity for peace after a 2015 peace deal collapsed last year during heavy fighting in the South Sudanese capital, Juba. Now, women are often referred to as the backbone of society, but in most countries, women earn less than their male counterparts. And for majority of those in Africa, all they need is a little help to start small businesses to feed their families. Now, joining me in the studio to talk about how women in Africa can be empowered is Emilia J., author, coach, and founder of Empower the Children. Emilia, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you for having me.
Now, to start with, I know you're very passionate about helping abandoned children, but without empowering the women in the society, these kids will not attain their potential. So where do we start with empowering women in Africa?
Thank you again for having me. Most definitely, women are the foundation of the community of a country. So definitely, empowering women will help the society, the community. So first of all, with women, we're learning to love ourselves. We are always giving back to our family, to everybody, and forgetting to love ourselves. By loving ourselves more, then we could give out more to our family and the community. And the next is also learning and education. As women, we should continue and strive to grow and learn.
Now, you know, Emilia, I'm thinking about women in Africa in the rural areas who, some of them didn't get the opportunity to go to school like we did, but they are still skilled in various ways. They can do some farming, they can do some sewing, they can do some work that will help feed their families. And some of them just need a little help, as we said, to be able to do that. Now, for us women from Africa who are here in the diaspora, or even men, what can we do, or what should we be doing to give that little help to enable them start off their small businesses?
You're totally right. There are a lot of talented women in Africa, in the local cities, creating, sewing with their hands. So we, the diaspora, we can help them definitely by setting up businesses and trainings, and then helping them to start to do their business. And then also we utilizing and buying their product. Because as I say to myself, I mean, some of us, we are used to buying expensive brand names and we're forgetting our local products. So for me, I sew my stuff with local seamstresses. I get the local jewelry. So this is one of the ways that we can support our local women, because they are talented out there. They are doing a whole lot. But as you said, the resources are not there, the money is not there, but we supporting and buying their products will help them to also feed their families.
Okay, let's look at the use of social media. Some of those women are not able to use the social media because they don't have the technology. There's no internet in some places. But, and most of us, people in the diaspora, may not be able to travel to those countries. How do we network with those who are in those places and help, inject maybe a little cash here or there, or give ideas or hold workshops to help these women do some of the work they need to do to get along?
Right now, the world has become a small place that going on the internet and researching and finding small organizations or people on the ground to collaborate and partner with. Because you don't really have to be there physically on the ground, but there are people out there, there are small organizations out there that each and every one of us could coordinate and collaborate with to make things happen.
Now, again, there's the question of accountability. Some people will send money, they don't see where this money is going. But I do know of women who really need just very little money to start off businesses. How do we ensure that the money that is sent out there or the help that is sent out there is really doing something? And very briefly, what do we do with young women as well in order to nurture them to be able to empower themselves?
Accountability is very key because we've had very bad scenarios where money wasn't used for what it's intended. So definitely being vigilant and reviewing the books and making sure that the people that we put in charge are reliable, and then we're also reviewing the money and the account and what is being done. Because once you keep up and you review it, I think you'll be able to manage and run things very well.
Amelia, let's hope that this is going to be a reality. So many of them look out to us. Amelia J. is author, coach, and founder of Empower the Children. Now, in an annual report required by the United States Congress, President Donald Trump unveiled a national security strategy that lays out his vision of America's place in the world. VOA White House correspondent Peter Heinlein reports the plan emphasizes economic competitiveness and identifying China and Russia as America's chief rivals for global influence.
President Donald Trump.
Donald Trump went to the Ronald Reagan Building to outline a strategy that echoes the former president's theme of peace through strength by rejuvenating America's economic and military power in line with his America First theme.
Our strategy is to advance American influence in the world, but this begins with building up our wealth and power at home. America will lead again. We do not seek to impose our way of life on anyone, but we will champion the values without apology.
Trump identified Russia and China as competitors that are trying to restructure the world order in ways opposed to America's interests.
Whether we like it or not, we are engaged in a new era of competition. We accept that vigorous military, economic, and political contests are now playing out all around the world. We face rogue regimes that threaten the United States and our allies. We face terrorist organizations, transnational criminal networks, and others who spread violence and evil around the globe. We also face rival powers, Russia and China, that seek to challenge American influence, values, and wealth. We will attempt to build a great partnership with those and other countries, but in a manner that always protects our national interest.
He placed North Korea and Iran in a category of rogue regimes and claimed his strategy for isolating and containing the Pyongyang government is bearing fruit.
We have united our allies in an unprecedented effort to isolate North Korea. However, there is much more work to do. America and its allies will take all necessary steps to achieve a denuclearization and ensure that this regime cannot threaten the world.
Without mentioning his predecessors, Trump said past security strategies failed to consider that economic security is national security.
Our leaders drifted from American principles. They lost sight of America's destiny, and they lost their belief in American greatness. As a result, our citizens lost something as well. The people lost confidence in their government and eventually even lost confidence in their future. But last year, all of that began to change.
David Adesnik of the Foundation for Democracies says Trump's strategic statement is a sharp departure from and an implicit criticism of previous security strategies that depended on diplomatic breakthroughs.
I do think that was a weakness in the past. It's simply the hope that if you get more and more sort of entangled in diplomacy, that both sides begin to understand each other more effectively. It's been a long-term hope, and democratic countries are especially inclined to that approach. But I think in a number of cases it didn't work out, so a change would be welcome.
Trump's strategy has been criticized for dropping former President Barack Obama's 2015 description of climate change as a U.S. national security threat. Trump aides say, however, that the document does identify environmental stewardship as a challenge. Peter Heinlein, VOA News, the White House.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook and share our show with your friends. Coming up, enjoying the holiday season despite food allergies. Stay with us.
This is a country that I chose to become a citizen. I didn't have to become a citizen. I chose to become a citizen.
I feel like America gave me an opportunity to pursue my passion as an artist.
I really believe that clean eating is a way to a more successful life, or a happier life, if you want to put it that way.
One of the things that helps me wake up every morning is doing better, being better.
We grew up poor, and so I'm always focused on helping the working class be able to have a more comfortable lifestyle.
I'm passionate about doing justice every day. I oftentimes say that justice is a verb, not a noun. You know, I believe in action and moving the ball forward.
It's time now for our health report, and joining us now is Africa 54 health correspondent Lino Mudu with the latest flu statistics.
U.S. health officials in the United States say as many as 646,000 people are dying worldwide from seasonal influenza each year. The study by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and global health partners was based on data from a larger, more diverse sample of countries than previously done. They say global death rates from seasonal influenza are likely between 291,000 and 646,000 people each year, depending on the severity of the circulating flu strain. That's up from a prior estimate range of 250,000 to 500,000 deaths. People aged 75 and older and those living in sub-Saharan Africa had the highest rates of flu-associated respiratory death. Eastern Mediterranean and Southeast Asian countries also had high rates of flu-associated respiratory death. The study is published in the medical journal, The Lancet. Now, the holiday season is a time to celebrate with big dinners and family gatherings, but can be a challenging time for food allergy sufferers. Food allergy is an immune system reaction that occurs soon after eating a certain food, leading to symptoms such as digestive problems, hives, or swollen airways. In some people, a food allergy can cause severe symptoms or even a life-threatening reaction known as anaphylaxis. According to the World Allergy Organization, 220 to 250 million people may suffer from food allergy globally. The organization says that food allergies are increasing in both developed and developing countries, especially in children. And the severity and complexity of food allergy is also increasing. So you're feeling nauseous, dizzy, and your skin is breaking out in hives, among other things. You may be having a reaction to something you ate, but is it a food allergy you are experiencing, or is it a food intolerance? We will discuss the difference and some preventive ways. Joining us in the studio is Terry Torkos, pharmacist, author, and certified fitness instructor. Ms. Torkos, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So what is the main difference between a food allergy and a food intolerance?
So food allergies are when the immune system is overreacting to a substance. Most commonly, it is peanuts or dairy or shellfish. Those are very common food allergens. Whereas a food intolerance often originates in the digestive system, where your body's not able to break down a component in a food. And three of the most common food intolerances are gluten, lactose, and histamine.
That's interesting because we hear a lot about gluten and lactose intolerance, but histamine, I have not heard much about it.
That's right. Histamine intolerance is something that there isn't really good awareness about today, yet it's a very common problem. People can suffer for years, if not decades, before being diagnosed. If you have a histamine intolerance, when you eat a food that has histamines in it, you can develop headaches, hives, flushing of the skin, rapid heart rate, increased blood pressure. You can have upset stomach, gas, bloating, digestive issues, but also the symptoms of histamine, which are the runny nose, congestion, watery eyes, so tissue swelling.
Because we hear a lot about histamine when it comes to the flu or, I mean,
antihistamine drugs. That's
exactly.
right. Those are drugs to block histamine reactions, but aside from your body producing histamines, they're commonly found in these foods. And a lot of the things that I brought here today, the aged meats and cheese, wine is also a very high histamine food. Also has sulfates, and the sulfates increase the release of histamine. Fermented beverages such as kefir, champagne during the holidays, beer has histamines. Even nuts can trigger the increased release of histamines.
Okay, let me just mention, this is not real wine, it's grape juice.
It's grape juice, that's right.
And
meant to look like wine.
This set of foods...
These are foods that can help increase your levels of an enzyme called diamine oxidase, which your body needs to process histamine. So if you have a histamine intolerance, most likely you either are not producing enough diamine oxidase or you're just taking in too much. So one way to counter that is you can take a supplement. Now this is called Umbrellex DAO. Just hold that up. Diamine oxidase is the actual enzyme that your body is missing if you're histamine intolerant. So if you take the supplement 15 minutes before you have high histamine foods, it gives your body what it needs to break down those histamines. And people that are at particular risk, like myself, that have celiac disease, if you have irritable bowel, Crohn's disease, colitis, you could be at risk of a histamine intolerance. And even as we get older, things affect us differently.
Yes.
Maybe you were in your teens and 20s, you could have histamine foods and beverages, not a problem. All of a sudden you hit 30, 40, you have less of that enzyme available, so you get symptoms when you have those foods.
So if you don't have access to supplement, what do you do?
Well, the one thing you could do is avoid all high histamine foods, but it's very tricky. So you would have to stay away from all foods that are high in histamine, or you could try to boost up your body's levels of diamine oxidase consuming olive oil. This is a healthy oil that has oleic acid, which can help increase your diamine oxidase. Chicken, also pomegranates and onions, which are rich in quercetin. They're good foods to add to your diet this time of year, as these foods can help support your body. But really the supplement, and it's available online, so it's something that no matter where in the world you are, you can order it. Yeah, if you go to daodeficiency.org, you can learn more about this issue.
Very good. And so quickly, to summarize, it's the holiday, people will be eating food. Some very quick steps in 10 seconds to avoid food allergies.
Yeah, so choose your foods carefully. When you're at the buffet, always exercise moderation. If you are suspecting you have high histamines, instead of having red wine, have white wine, or go for sparkling water, which is the healthiest alternative. Stay away from the aged meats and cheeses, and go for more of the fruits and vegetables, because they don't contain the histamines.
Sherry, thank you so much for joining us today, and happy holidays.
Thanks, same to you.
And that was Terry Torkos. She is a pharmacist, author, and certified fitness instructor. And we hope you stay healthy and have some good food this holiday. That's our health report for today. To stay in touch, find me on Twitter @LenorMoudou. Back to you, Esther.
Thanks, Leno. Be sure to watch Leno Moudou's Health Report every Tuesday and Thursday right here on Africa 54. It's time now for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54, the latest Christmas trend in Britain, mindful drinking. We'll be right back.
In South Africa, ANC supporters dance and sing in celebration of Cyril Ramaphosa's election to lead South Africa's ruling party. A A parliament debate on the presidential age cap in Uganda adjourned in uproar when members of parliament argued with each other and police.
Defense and security services.
In Zimbabwe, army chiefs announced the end of the military intervention, which forced former President Robert Mugabe to resign, urging for a smooth transition of government. An online radio station catering to the LGBT community, believed to be the first of its kind in the Arab world, started broadcasting in Tunisia on Monday.
I wanted to present music and a side of American culture that is most important to me, that is a part of who I am. They're going to get some incredible performances. That's one of the things I love, bringing these artists in so you can get to see them do what they do. It's soul music, and that's what music is. It's that which comes from the soul.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here's what's trending. The number of British adults who consume alcohol is at its lowest since 2005. A movement called Mindful Drinking is on the rise, with events, bars, and a host of booze-free tippos being marketed to those looking for a balance in their drinking habits. And it's a growing trend. According to UK's Office for National Statistics, 21% of adults say they don't drink alcohol at all, and that the number of British adults who consume alcohol is at its lowest since 2005. Researchers say in the UK, sales of low and non-alcoholic beer grew by 20.5% over the last 12 months to July 2017. Next up, Australian scientists are using virtual reality and 3D printing technology to improve the lives of people with disabilities. This prototype at the University of Melbourne allows people with spinal injuries to have fun and be in company while doing vital breathing exercises. Virtual reality is allowing quadriplegics to get together for singing sessions without leaving their homes. In Sydney, 3D printing is revolutionizing custom-made orthotics for children with cerebral palsy. Mobility braces are magic shoes that help them walk, but the process of being fitted with ankle-foot orthosis can be long and unpleasant. The solution? A quick and easy scan of a child's legs and creating shoes with a 3D printer. And cutting-edge orthopedics aren't just for humans. A dog that lost its front legs in a violent attack has been given a new lease of life with a pair of high-tech carbon fiber racing blades, similar to those used by Paralympic athletes. Kola was attacked by a neighbor in Thailand. He was rescued by the Soy Dog Foundation, which contacted the Scandinavian Orthopedic Laboratory in Bangkok, who made the dog's blades. Since it was founded in 2003, the Soy Dog Foundation has sterilized more than 180,000 animals. Last year, it treated more than 3,500 sick or injured animals. And that's what's trending today. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa, between 0300 and 0600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks for watching, and a very good night from Washington.
Welcome to English in a Minute. A plate is a dish that you put your food on.
Have a lot on your plate.
Hey Anna, I'm having a party this weekend. You should come.
I wish I could, but my weekend is really busy. I'm baking a wedding cake, writing my article, teaching 2 classes, and oh, my parents are visiting.
Wow, you have a lot